I'm very, very tired. It's been almost a few months since I decided to become an occult writer, but the thought the experience was too intense. I think that the fact that I was able to experience the tenacity, fragility, and sadness of a female creature at the same time is a great asset for a writer. But it is a great shock. It's been a week since I've heard that soul-wrenching horror story, but I never dreamed that I'd be hearing a horrific story that would bring back that nightmare and even surpass it. I wonder if my constitution is a catalyst for something that invites me to tell horrible stories. It's a complete mystery. This time it was again a young woman's experience. The woman's story was also full of horror experiences that overwhelmed others. Her story began when she called me to a coffee shop in Tokyo. Mr. Koji, this is the first time Mr. Koji is going to talk about you. If something happens to me, please pass this article on to others, please. No, Mr. G, if you say such a noisy thing, it will be an incident rather than an experience. Let's be serious, seriously. I suppose she was a member of a society, but I had an certain sense of anticipation and at the same time a sense of emptiness for the horror story that this very young woman would tell. Naturally, there was a chill and deception in the horror experiences that were brought in, and there were times when the content lacked the excitement that was expected. Still, there is a sense of darkness and despair that cannot be understood unless the woman's charm and despair are actually confronted in order to meet for the first time. Perhaps because of that, I made an out of focus voice that was not suitable for the target of this kind of article. It was obvious at a glance that what would be a serious and honest would be the person himself without fixing it. By the way, Mr. G, why did you decide to tell me this horror story? I happened to see Koji blog and contacted him. For some reason, I really want to talk to others, and I have a strange sense of obligation that I have to talk about. I'm sorry. No, no, it's okay. There is nothing for you to apologize for. By the way, Without further ado, what kind of story is it about? Yes. However, she began to speak in detail without power. The content was a strange and spine-chilling horror story. Father, no problem. I don't have a mother, so I have to do it properly. No, no one can help you right away. So tell Naoto to be firm. I wonder if you are the one who is okay. Don't overdo it. If you have any problems, come back. Already, it's okay to care about people more than that. He was annoyed by the sudden loss of cell, cell phone signals, but his sympathy for the lack of a female and turned into pity for his brother and father, and the momentary anger disappeared somewhere. The shock of knowing that the devoted love he had for my brother, me, and my father, who had supported my family for so long, was now gone. It was exactly 3 years ago that my mother was diagnosed with cancer, and it was the season when the wind of Shiran was chilling her cheeks. My brother and I were returning to my parents' house on a rare occasion when my mother suddenly confessed that she was suffering from an incurable disease. The announcement was so sudden that the whole family was shocked, and she air in the place froze. I had been busy for a while because an abnormal river body had been pointed out in the Ottoman. Check it out. But when I belatedly consulted my family doctor the previous month, he recommended that I, I be transferred to a university hospital in the city because it was a very dangerous number. He was diagnosed as having a very serious condition and that the cancer had already spread throughout his body and had reached a level where all treatments were effective. My mother did her best. On the recommendation of a cancer specialist at the university hospital, he was immediately admitted to the palliative care ward, and after a year and a half, the number of cancer cells showed a temporary decrease. At one point, he recovered to the point where he was considering home treatment, and his weight dropped by more than 10 kilograms at one point, but he almost returned to normal. However, when distant meta metastases were found in the right lung, it rapidly deteriorated, eventually infiltrating the brain. In the end, the whole family agreed to take him home and give him end-of-life care. She tried to give up on going to nursing school because of her remorse for not being able to save her mother, but with the persuasion of her family and those around her, she made her mind and decided to go to a nursing school in Tokyo. The nursing school in Tokyo that she went to was a specialized school that boasted an reputation as a medical school that provided high-level nursing. Future nursing students who were called up to meet urgent need for the rapidly declining birth rate and aging population have been asked to accept more than one after another, partly due to the rising rate of aging in urban areas. This school was also forced to expand its new school building due to the enrollment of more than 500 new students. The school, which was advanced theme of fostering specialists who will be at the forefront of nursing, has adopted a form of communal living in which all students live together. Based on the guidelines that high-level nursing philosophy is necessary for all aspects of life. The boarding program, in which 500 or more students live together in one academic year, is based on the motto of professional nursing training that does not allow my compromise. Building D, where G is located, was undergoing emergency expansion work for the rapidly increasing number of students, and more than half of the construction was uncompleted due to the partial disappearance of the school building with orange tiles. The condominiums where the students lived were built on land that had been paid off by major electric power company to the government, and for some reason the government bought it again and tendered it on a regular basis. The group in which G is to enter is located at the far right end of the row floor, the south front of the round clearing, and is located at the end of the innermost line. The concrete molded condominium had an L shape with an entrance in the middle, and the right part is completely exposed and the piercing work is clearly carried out. G felt the number of artisans and related people who came and went was thin due to the urgency and scale of the construction, but I thought it was somewhat less stress living environment because I sometimes saw nickel poker style craftsmen and young men carrying mortar on a cycle called a cat. Even so, I was so excited and excited that I would be able to take my first step as a professional who could study advanced nursing and medical care. So I hardly paid attention to the condition of the building. Casually, daily life somehow continued. It was one afternoon about a month after I entered the nursing dormitory. A fear of a single and obvious discomfort swept over G. It was the afternoon after the morning joint conference and the loose training with no partial skills. Even in nursing schools, the curriculum is quite hard, and there are many situations where it is difficult to manage the daily schedule. The lectures, which were mainly divided into morning and afternoon lectures, were in a pattern where one of them gave a lecture and the other was partial practice, and both sides were in a situation where they could not relax at all. It was in- inevitable that everything they ran would be staged for serious competition for nurses working in the field of all nursing, which is directly related to life. The education of nurses who were active in all aspects of surgery and treatment was packed with the royal road of caring that could not be compromised. G, as well as others, was getting his merciless baptism just when I was feeling that my sleep was not good these days because it was so hard. The warm lecture delivered by Deputy Chief Nurse Komaeda in the morning was so damaging that it made my brain freeze. G was more of a pragmatist and was not good at lecture. The content of the event held yesterday was very lazy, with many students staring they are worried with G. The boring lecture over paper engineer who seemed to have been thrown to a middle-aged job in a typical role at Mammoth School become a magical lullaby, like a weak little bird whispering and attacks the student. She had no choice but to endure a total of 180 minutes of reading the sutra while somewhat resisting the unbearable temptation. Hunger and lack of oxygen cannot be met without lunch, which is the only pleasure and energy replen- replenishment during the day. Armed with souvenir of a Chinese lunchbox under by a duct of S station not far from the school, Jid returned to his temporary dormitory, thinking that he could finally take a break. Room G is the fifth on the third floor by going up the elevator on the right from the entrance on the first floor. Except for the thinner smelling chemical peculiar to newly built pro- properties wafting into the nostrils. It was a very clean and comfortable apartment. G took the grey elevator as usual, pressed the button on the third floor, and went straight down the passage on the right. An unfamiliar shadow came into view. The shadow looks like a mass of something. He squinted his eyes for a moment and started at it. Apparently one of the craftsmen he is carrying out mortar of building remnants downstairs. With such a large group of buildings, it was necessary to proceed with the construction at an early stage, and various construction staff came and went. I couldn't clearly see their age, but I could see from a distance relatively old worker dragging the construction material down. It was the first time I had seen it, but after a while I started to witness it every time G came home. However, it gradually became less and less bothersome. I made me less aware of the things around me that were happening around me. One that was swayed by the business of my daily routine and kind of complacency that I was on track on. This was also a daytime event This time it was an encounter that occurred in the middle of the day, but when I got off the elevator and headed to my room, I saw a person who seemed to be a veteran carrying luggage down from the same emergency staircase passage. The daytime was earlier than the last time, and combined with the sunny day, I was able to see the figure even more clearly. Since it is about 200 meters from J's location, it is a great relief for the people who live in that place to be able to see the general style rather than the whole body clearly. He wear dark charcoal gray work clothes, so he may be a part-time worker, but he may be a short-term, fixed-term employee who looks slender instead of young. G was satisfied that he could see the whole picture with naked eye, but he couldn't comprehend the one incongruity that was so hard to grasp. After all, I saw a construction bag, a so-called garage bag, dragged in downstairs to the ground. The side on the other side was a site where reinforced concrete had finally been created and internal infrastructure work as being carried out, but some mortar and heavy machinery could not be lifted and had to be brought in by elevators and cranes. In a way, I wonder if there is such a thing as lowering a piece of junk that is one third of the body down in such a rough work environment. Moreover, I was worried that there would be an inefficient arrangement for a not so young worker who looked like a veteran to drag the leftovers down with his bare hand instead of using an elevator or a cat. Still, she dared to turn away from such discomfort in the hustle and bustle of his own life. After all, it was a construction site, and there was no place for me to do anything about it. The moment came when I felt a daisy shape danger for such a G. We have to be vigilant about what kind of backstory lies behind the common and ordinary events. The only time I was hit by a strange stumbling block when G was fixed was around the daytime shift. In the case of scary or occult experiences, it was always at night. But in the case of G, it appeared in the daytime so that it was concentrated in the middle of the day. This time he was a completely suspicious person and he sneaked into the room to aim at G while he was away, and when he was looking for something, he accidentally bumped into it. On this day, G did not have time to comprehend the events of his hectic return home from the day shift as if it were an indication of something, and he came across a very strange intruder. As usual, I got out of the elevator and headed to my room, and when I stopped in front of the door, a sensation of something pierced my whole body. When I grabbed the doorknob, there was a sticky, moist liquid on it, and sure enough, the key was open. I entered the room while turning the handle fearfully so that people would not realize that I had returned home. This room went straight from the entrance, and there was a living room with a combined living room and kitchen at the deepest part. From the deepest of it, you can faintly hear the noise of something rubbing against it. When I slowly opened up the door of the living room with my foot and looked inside, I saw a suspicious person dressed in white scratching the floor at the edge of the living room. Dee decided that screaming would be very dangerous, so he stepped back and pulled away without making a sound. When I left the room, I rushed to the manager's office and asked for 110 call. Within 10 minutes, several uniformed police officers arrived and went to the room with G. When I went to the room, several facility officers had already rushed in, and they were seizing what seemed to be an intruder and squeezing them. At first, I thought it was a middle school student or some kind of stray person, but I couldn't tell because I saw shaving the hair all over my face. He seemed to be a young man, but he's an unknown man. His body is thin and muscular, but he doesn't have any extravagance. Our razor, he's too thin. I can't cross. I can't cross. It's your fault that it's dry. He is muttering as if he is screaming. G was standing there, standing for no reason. This guy, They were trying to burn down the room. Oh my god, I got in somewhere. Huh? Huh? You guys? We're dormitory staff. The fire alarm responded, so we rushed here. Oh, I see. Where did this person come from? Now I don't know, but I have heard from the guard at the main gate that there are no application for visitors. It doesn't seem to be a construction worker, so I'll try to hit an insider from now on. What was that man trying to be in my room? It seems that he was trying to burn something by throwing gunpowder like black soot in the corner of the room. I don't know why, but I leave the rest to the police. The suspicious person was taken away by two police officers. There were many lunatic people who made gibberish about what it meant to not be able to cross, but there was no one on the ground to explain the meaning for the word. G went back to his room. He was reminded not to touch the area near the arson area in case the police would inspect the scene later. The far end of the living room, on the right side of the window, is severely damaged by the flames. Anger welled up from the bottom of my stomach, but I decided to hold off until I found out why. Eventually, the reason would be found out and solved. This life has not changed since then, but it has passed with the experience of horror that he cannot escape. At that place, a man with bruises all over his body began to stand at the edge of the burned living room every day. I had judged that I had been getting tired lately and that I was mentally driven by a hormonal imbalance due to changes in my environment. I decided that it was unavoidable considering that I was not getting enough sleep and that the curriculum was complicated. The man is standing there every day. I wonder if the fact that he parses his mouth and looks greedy is a sign that he is appearing to something. G became ill both physically and mentally between lectures and on holidays. I looked myself in my room all day. Then a week later, the worst thing happened that was out of my control. It was in bed in the early morning. Isn't that man, the skinny man, sleeping next to him? G pointed as it was. I woke up in the HCU, the second highest level of emergency, in a pure white room with a nurse center next door. He wears an oxygen mask over his mouth and an IV tube stretches out of his right arm. It seems that he was urgently transported to a general hospital run by the school. The ring finger of his left hand was capped to measure oxygen saturation, called saturation. Hey, are you okay? You know what? Tell me something. Takayuki, what are you doing? I've been sleeping for a week now. I'm afraid it won't happen anymore. It is really okay? Or something was on fire. Burning? Did you burn it? Almost died. What are you doing? The younger brother's agitation was so severe that the hospital staff decided that it was dangerous considering the patient's condition, so they immediately entered the HCU and took him outside. It seems that he almost burned to death while sleeping. Maybe he lit the fire and tried to burn everything. I don't know why this happened. I don't know what it means. But 3 days later, she was discharged from the hospital. After leaving the hospital, he returned to the dormitory and had to attend a lecture immediately, and such a sense of duty makes his heart impatient. When I went out of entrance to get a taxi from the hospital, my brother and an unfamiliar woman ran up to her with a terrible sword. Sister, don't go back to that door. This time your life is completely in danger. Takayuki is right. The place is no good. What are you both saying? More than that, who are you? She was a former nurse at this hospital and is now in a different hospital. What do you want to say? It's hard to talk here, so let's move places. The three of them moved to a nearby coffee shop and starting talking. Does Mr. G know about the dormitory at that hospital? You don't know what the dormitory is because you are going to enter it. I can't help it. What? What are you talking about? That place seems to be a pretty dangerous place because the hospital hasn't explained it at all. What? Where the places where you was seemed to be the place where the old hospital used to dispose of sample specimen. It's a place to throw away bones and chunks of flesh from the human body that have been used in some kind of surgery or experiment. A place to do such a thing. Why would the hospital make it dormitory? It seems that the hospital former director used the connection between the state and the landowner to buy this undeveloped and unstable land and use it to build an expanding dormitory. It also reflects the circumstances of the hospital, which was to use special helper in order to obtain a large amount of land to accept the ever increasing number of the nursing students at a low price. The darkness of this hospital is a number of anti-natural phenomena that are being brought about in undisclosed paths that have not followed such formal procedure. Anti-natural phenomena. The treatment result of this hospital, the collusion with the political world, the black organ trafficking, and the number of the unseen Buddhahead sleeping in this land itself. What is Buddhahead? Human? I don't know the detail, but there are probably quite a few corpses buried there. No way. Then unusually emaciated man. That man is a ghost that can't be seen. Anyway, let's go home. G returned to the dormitory while restraining the two who tried to forcibly stop him. To my surprise, a police car parked in front of the dormitory with a flashing red cap. I don't know what happened inside, but I wonder if it had something to do with my small fire. Huh? What's wrong? Who are you? The people involved here. Yes, I am nursing student. Did something happen? A suspicious person entered and attempted to commit suicide by self-immolation. I will not be able to enter for a while because I will do an on-site inspection. A large, crisp uniformed police officer restrained himself as he tried to enter and explain the current situation. That man set himself on fire and tried to die. Oh my God! The three of them started at each other's faces. I can't get the word out right away. G, who lost his place of life, moved to his younger brother for the time being. It was one thing to deal with what was happening, but it was also necessary to calm down and think calmly. In the morning, the school gave a surprising explanation, saying that the school would be closed for a while. The explanation from the office was that due to the circumstance of the management, normal classes and training could not be conducted. Not at all convinced, they decided to go back to the dormitory that night. The school's suspicious response and the repulsion, repulsion at the sudden explosion, explosion of myself turned into an interest in seeing the truth. When I left my house at 10 o'clock at night and headed to the dormitory, the police car was no longer parked and it was deserted. The building was quiet as usual, but a deeper, icy silence enveloped it. When I climbed the elevator and traced the original residence that I was trying to get used to, although it was short, I felt nostalgic feeling. Here I was supposed to climb the stair to the nurse I had dreamed of. I got to the front of my room. Something, something is dangerous. I don't know what it is, but a tremendous sense of fear and oppression approaches me. At that time, suddenly the center of my chest became hot as if it were cracking, and bang! I felt a bursting shock. G fell to his knees and almost fell for a moment. When I looked to the side, I saw a strange sight. There are also people dragging something down the fire escape. She headed for the staircase, determined to see the whole truth with his own eyes. When I arrived at the stairs, there was no sign of the man disappearing. The staircase itself was an iron staircase of a barracks house with only rebar and concrete, and almost no construction had progressed. When I came down to the bottom, I saw a vast wasteland on the north side, broken stone monuments and old pagodas scratched, scattered here and there. Dark crowds are gathering overhead, and pale flames are wandering low as if wandering in a low position. G hurriedly left the place. He decided that it would be very dangerous to stay there for a long time. I was so scared that I lost my hips and desperately stepped on my feet while enduring the fact that I was about to collapse. It's very dangerous to be here. I decided to go home immediately, and when I looked back, yesterday, the woman is standing right behind me. She has tightened her neck with a terrible appearance like a dead person from hell. She fainted on the spot. When I woke up, I was in my brother Takayuki's apartment this time. I woke up on a warm out bed with a terrible male smell and two dented waists. Big sister, are you okay? Not at all. As soon as I decided on this, I was in trouble. I almost got to them. Will it be taken? Because they suddenly disappear at night. I didn't seem to be looking for the building, so I went down and went around to the back, and it had fallen. My body is on fire. I'm glad I can't do it anymore. This time, it seems that I was about to be born. By the way, how did you know that I was in this situation? What are you talking about? Your sister contacted me. What are you talking about? I did tell him. Jay put his hand on his hot chest. An old ivory amulet given to me by my mother was broken in half. She strongly felt a great invisible force. end.